In purchasing process, there are 2 points you have to pay attention to. The price point below which the seller is not going to sell, and the price point above which the buyer is not going to buy. Now, between those 2 prices, you have your zone of potential agreement. In short, that is where you are likely to get your agreed price. The truth, as you already know, is that the supplier is motivated to sell at the highest price possible, while the buyer, pretty much the opposite. They are motivated to buy at the lowest price possible. So in that kind of a setup, how do we ensure, if you're the buyer, that you get the fairest price? If at all you can get the fairest price, how do you get it? Well, pricing schedules try to answer that. Pricing schedule is a list of the supplier's price. They give you price for different quantities to be purchased so that you can see at what volume you can get a discount. In case you're dealing in products, things like office supply, mobile phones, etc., you may end up with something like this. While for services, you could end up having this kind of schedule. A question might therefore be, what can a buyer do to aid their position in the purchase? Now, there are a number of things that the buyer can do, 2 of which are check out variety of suppliers. You see, the thing is, as a buyer, you have to scout. You have to keep on asking suppliers to send you their quotations, okay? Their price schedules. That is the reason why you just don't go to the first person who says, I'm selling it for this much, and then you buy. Number 2, look for changes, okay, and trends in the market that might give you an edge. Basically, anything that affects the supplier's position in relation to their price. Things like technological changes, legal changes. If those things positively affect the price, well, in your favor, then that is something you should be taking an advantage of. So, observe the trends in the market. Then again, you might be looking at this from the supplier's point of view. Now, the supplier has 2 perspectives in relation to their price. There is the long run perspective, in which case they're trying to figure out at what price can we cover all our costs. And number 2, there is a short-term perspective, which is just, if we put this price at this point, then is it possible for us to compete in terms of demand and supply, given the market, assuming the market has other competitors, which in most cases it will have, unless you're enjoying a monopoly as a supplier. Now, both of these points, okay, the long run and the short run, are supposed to aid you as a buyer. Here's how. You see, the supplier is in the business of selling goods or services, right? The more they sell, the better their position. So if they are playing the long run game, it means they are most likely to be gaining if they sell those things in huge volume, which means it's your duty to try and figure out at what point will they give you an incentive if you buy more. So that's the whole point of that's the whole point behind the economies of scales, where you buy more, you get a discount, you save. Of course, there is also a negative side to that, which is not really something that you're looking at in this video. So as a buyer, just try and figure out how can you gain if the supplier is looking at it from a long run point of view, and how can you gain if the supplier is looking at it from a short term point of view. Price schedules can also be used in case of tenders. Now, let's look at this example. Let's say you've just put out an expression of interest, in which case you're looking for somebody to fix your IT related problems. And then you have 3 people who are willing to do that. And they send you their prices, okay? Now, one of the tendered price will be something like this. In this case, you have your service provider quoting $2,150. And out of that, the value added tax is $430, giving you a total of $2,580. That is what they want you to pay. So you go ahead and ask them to break down that cost so that you can have your price schedules. So they go ahead and they do it this way. So you have their staff cost. They're telling you that you're going to use 2 people to do this job. The first person is called John. The second person is probably called Mary. Now, the first person, John, in this case, is going to be paid $250. That's their daily rate. And Mary is going to be paid $300. And the number of days they're going to be working, in case of John, John will work for 5 days, and Mary is going to work for 2 days. And the total, Mary is going to work for 3 days. And so the total, as far as you're concerned, is that John will earn $1,250, while Mary is going to earn $900. So the total will give you $2,151 plus the VAT, okay, the value added tax, which in this case, we are assuming it's $430. So that is an example of a price schedule. So what you're going to do, you look at both of the, there were 3 people who applied for that job, right? Or rather, there are 3 people who expressed their interest in that position, or rather in that tender. So you're going to look at their price schedule, the first person, the second person, the third person, and then you pick one that you think is favorable. Usually it's going to be one that is not so high and not so low, because, both are dangerous, okay? Too high is dangerous. Too low can also have other adverse effects. So if you're going to use this one for any other reason aside from tenders, then whatever you're buying better be something that is not going to have an adverse impact in your finances, and is also something that is not that critical as far as your purchases are concerned. Things like office supplies or something. These are things that you can just afford to shop around and see what the suppliers are offering. So that is it with the pricing schedule or the pricing schedule. I'm Moses from Zeret Network, and I'll see you in the next video.